Hey, good morning. Gerry Morton here. Great to connect with you guys. It's always a pleasure to talk to the AO group. I am Gerry Morton. I'm here to talk to you guys about peak performance, both physically, mentally, emotionally, all the stuff that we need to do to be our very best, to answer the questions that you guys have, and just to connect with you guys generally. I love the connections that we have in between these mentor sessions. It's always meaningful to me to have an opportunity to give back and to speak to each one of you guys. It's great, the different points that we are, each of us in our entrepreneurial journeys. And it's really neat to be able to experience the growth that so many of you AO members are experiencing, and the success that you guys are having, and be able to find my way to contribute to that in whatever small way that I can. So anyway, great to be here with you guys again. We've got some great questions today that we're going to tackle. As I often do when I get on these mentor sessions, I'd like to remind each of you guys to really think about your health, right? Try to be mindful in your eating, your drinking, your interactions with people, your sleeping, all those different things that we do that really move the needle on our own personal productivity and energy. So some things that I think we can all think about and try to make sure that we're improving: drinking more water, at least half your body weight in ounces of water per day, trying to get at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night, and good quality sleep. I track my sleep in all sorts of different ways, and I encourage you guys to do the same and make sure that you're doing that. Trying not to have any alcohol right before you go to bed, trying to make sure you're hydrated, and trying to wind down appropriately, trying to watch your sugar and carb intake. Maybe you want to introduce some time-restricted feeding. I think protein shakes and green superfoods are tremendous for our health generally, and they're something that I never time restrict when I'm time restricting feeding. I don't time restrict protein. So it's great to have a protein shake for breakfast every single day. Will make a world of difference in your life and with your personal productivity. So I encourage you to have a protein shake. We use our Energy First Pro Energy and our Green Energy, which are there behind us. Use the pre-fuel before workouts, which is phenomenal. You can get all these great products at energyfirst.com using the code Shawn, SHAWN, and taking a discount along with free shipping on your order. So look forward to helping any of you guys with those sorts of products or education or personal productivity stuff offline. But for this, let's dive into a couple of questions, and we'll fold in some stories and some other feedback along the way. I'm wearing my Rotary shirt. I'm currently the president of my Rotary Club in Manhattan Beach, and we just had our meeting this morning, and I'm enjoying every week leading those meetings. We get 80 or so people for breakfast every Monday morning at the West Drift Hotel in Manhattan Beach, and it's a lot of fun to be able to facilitate those. We have a really great group, so that's why I'm wearing my Rotary shirt today, which is another one of my nonprofit hats. It's all about service above self, which is, again, incidentally, something I'd encourage all you guys to do, is to get outside yourselves, give to some organization, give your time, your money. Arthur Brooks writes a lot about this on happiness, but a lot of folks talk about how we get a better return on happiness by investing our time and money in others than we do by investing it in ourselves. The science on that is pretty clear, and encourage you to give it a shot. It takes us outside of that focus on ourselves and that kind of rumination that people can get into sometimes, and puts it on an outside force when you give of your time. Also, when you give of your money, it really helps us to feel a lot better. Even random acts of kindness help a lot from a happiness standpoint. Another thing that you can do is it's been really effective outside of journaling and gratitude journals is you can also think of 5 people that you want to say thank you to over the course of the day, and then just send 5 emails to 5 different people, maybe just acknowledging something about them that you appreciate, acknowledging something that they've done for you, acknowledging something that they've shared, and it will not only strengthen the relationship and help them to feel better, but it will really, more importantly, help you to feel better as well. So just a couple of tidbits. First question, how do I ask a client for a deposit on a bulk order? Good question. The background, I'm a startup golf apparel wholesaler with limited cash flow. I'm selling clothing to golf course pro shops. I also work a second job as a COO for my dad's golf business where we buy from vendors. The vendors only collect from his business 30 to 90 days after shipment, no deposits needed. Being that I'm a startup, I need a deposit in order to place an order with my manufacturer. How can I get new buyers to trust me to make a deposit on a bulk order on my clothing? I have a sales report on my first year in business and can show that I'm in my dad's 10 shops. I mean, I like to frame this in terms of their benefit, if I can, in whatever way possible. It's helpful, I think, if you maybe reinforce that the order that they're placing is bespoke, that you're doing a custom order for them and you want to make sure that it's done perfectly. And in order to do that, you need some money up front. You can also highlight the service level that you provide and say that you don't get that kind of service when you order from some sort of a bulk wholesaler. You just sort of get what they have on the shelf for you. You give them additional bespoke levels of service. You give them additional customization. You stand by the sale after the fact. And in order to do that, you make each run for them special, and you need to get a deposit up front in order to ensure that. You want to think of any way that you can to try to reinforce to them that the deposit that they're giving you is in their benefit because it's giving them an extra service level or an extra level of customization, or again, anything that you could call bespoke, and try to position that it's not just a similar thing that they could get off the shelf at a broader wholesaler, because otherwise they might consider doing that. Or you could say, look, you're giving them better pricing because of it, or whatever your unique selling proposition, or maybe your product is unique in that it's different than a lot of other products, and say, well, you can get some sort of generic thing off the shelf, but for our stuff, you need to, we need to do this custom or special. We have special suppliers, and that requires a deposit for us to be able to order and support that for them. But again, kind of with all these things, I like to say, hey, let's frame it in terms of what benefits them, and try to make it again in their interest to give you that deposit. Okay, another question. Should I increase product prices for our storefront? That is a great question. It's something that is front of mind, I think, for everybody right now. The background on this, we're getting a storefront around December in order to pay rent and utilities. Does it make sense to increase prices or just leave them where they are? I don't think we've ever been in a situation where there's a better time to raise prices than today. I think just about every other news story in the business pages is about inflation and how inflation is hitting people on all levels. So I don't think anybody now questions that prices are going up, and they're going up quickly. So it's a good opportunity to kind of fold that in, and you don't even really have to justify it since everybody already knows that inflation is rampant. I think the bigger risk is to get behind that and not raise prices to the point where you then have to raise substantially too much after the fact because you haven't raised them incrementally along the way, or you fail to raise prices and then you end up losing money at the margin. I often joke that if you're losing money on every sale, you're not going to make that up on volume, right? Some people say, oh, we'll make it up on volume. Well, that's only true if you're making money on every sale. Some people in this environment have found that they haven't done a full analysis of all the costs that are baked into each item that they sell. And some people are surprised to find that they're making less than they thought, or in some cases even losing money on certain SKUs because they haven't recalculated or repriced all the things that go into the product, with raw materials, labor, shipping costs that are going up, a variety of things that go into it. Unless you've done an analysis in the last year, it's very easy to sort of get yourself into a situation where you've just kind of like the frog in the water that they slowly turn up the temperature. He just kind of realizes that it's warmer and warmer and warmer until by the time it's boiling, it's too late. So we need to kind of make sure that we look at that and are cognizant of where we are on pricing relative to our hard costs on products across the board. And again, I don't think there's ever been a better time to raise prices than there is today. And I don't think it's ever been as important to take a look at your hard costs and overall pricing as it is today. Since we've never had inflation like this, at least in my lifetime. I'm 49 years old and I've never seen anything like this. I didn't have the opportunity to live through the big inflation of the late 1970s. I was like 6 or 7 years old, certainly wasn't in the business world at that point in time. But that's the last time we've ever experienced anything like today. And the inflation that we're seeing is in many ways worse than that if you look at it from a rate standpoint and how quickly it's sort of fallen on us. So anyway, hope that helps. Next question. When should I increase my pricing and by how much? The background, I own a technology company where we provide solutions to home and business owners that give them peace of mind, security cameras, et cetera. It's been operating from home for several years, finally taking the leap to open a storefront with the additional overhead of rent, utilities, paying staff. Should we adjust? Is it wise to increase prices by 20% or so to cover the new overhead? So in answer to the question, when should I increase my pricing? I would say yesterday. Again, as I said in the last question, there's never been a better time, I think, to raise prices. By how much is an important and challenging question that I think is more art than science. There's a number of different approaches that you can take to it. I think what most people look at is competitors and the competitive landscape, which isn't exact because your offering is never the same as your competitors. Your cost structure is different. Your value proposition is different. So that's only one basis. Another basis is to look at kind of what your hard costs are and triple them, double them, whatever the metric is in your business, which is, again, not an exact science, again, because your hard costs might be higher than your competitors. There's different things that kind of flow into that. One other is to look at kind of what you've been pricing historically and just raise 10%, because that's a number that most people probably aren't going to notice or use as a catalyst for switching products. The 20% or so to cover your new overhead that you're suggesting in your question is enough for somebody to maybe shop around. So the question there, do I want to raise 10% now and then maybe another 10% in 6 months versus just 20% now, which might be a little jarring to customers that have been ordering from you for a while. But anyway, those are some things to think about. Hope that's helpful. Next question from Josh. As an Amazon e-commerce FBA reseller, does it make sense to go through a whole branding and website exercise? I would say yes. Let me give you the background. You're an online e-commerce business. You just sell through Amazon, wondering if you should really look at branding and putting up your website, interested in hearing opinions on what value we can gain from developing a full brand when the majority of Amazon users have no idea who they are purchasing from. FYI, we're not housing products. All items are sent direct to Amazon. Okay, so yes, I would say you will. I think every business needs, if nothing else, a brochureware website, even if you're just selling on Amazon. And that does a few things for you, right? It builds credibility. A lot of people will direct to your website from your Amazon store to look for additional credibility. You're also going to do marketing on social media channels, and rather than directing them back to your Amazon store, it would be helpful to direct them to your website so that it all flows through to there, and then you can link to your Amazon store from that. Also, Amazon provides a lot of benefits. It's where the customers are by far. It's a great system for fulfillment as you're using, particularly since you're committed to it. But it's not necessarily the only place you're ever going to sell your product. I think there's a good likelihood as you continue to grow that you may want to start selling through stores. You may want to start selling potentially direct to the consumer. You may have some specials that you want to run There's a variety of things that you can do with your own web presence that you can't do without. So I think it builds credibility, it builds branding, it solidifies your trademark. It opens up the possibility, at least, that you can sell through other channels rather than Amazon. And that can be important as you look to grow your business. One of the things Amazon is very clear on is that the customer that you acquire on Amazon is Amazon's customer and not your customer. And they're really clear about that. They don't let you anymore. They used to, up until about a year and a half ago, allow you to download the information from customers that purchase your product. You can't do that anymore. You can only see names and certain data that allows you to show whether people are repeat customers, but you can't get their email or their physical address. You used to be able to could never get their email, but you used to get their physical address, and you used to be able to do a hard copy mailing to them if you wanted to. Again, that's all gone. Amazon's just very clear that it's their customer. They also show competitors' products below yours. Their incentive is to generate sales on their platform, where they take their 15% of the sale, they take the fulfillment charges that you pay them, and they get all the advertising money that you spend to generate those sales on their platform that allow you to pay them the 15% and pay them to fulfill your product. Their incentive is to create the everything store where everybody is competing to sell on their product, where the one constant is that they make money on everything that's transacted on their site. There's a lot of upside in that because, again, that's where the customers are. It's also a situation that can leave you beholden to Amazon, whereas your own website, retail channels, other ways of selling your product can help you to diversify off that and build a more stable business for the long term. And right now, Amazon is a great and lucrative channel. There could be other channels that come up going forward. You can build a Shopify site relatively inexpensively and then continue to promote that and generate that as another channel. One thing that Amazon is notorious for doing is finding a reason to block somebody from their platform. Maybe a good reason, may not. But once they block you, if that's your only channel, then everything is shut down for your business. At least if you have your own site and you're fulfilling through there. If for any reason Amazon goes down and you don't have a backup account, which if you're a big seller, I would encourage you to have a backup seller account that you can immediately switch inventory over to if necessary, if they were to block your main account for some reason. But you can immediately shift people over to your existing website, or they could do a search on Google and then go back to your own website and order from there. So for a variety of reasons, yes, I think it makes sense to go through a branding and website exercise and to generate that website, if even as a placeholder on a brochureware basis, that you can then look to maybe make transactional down the road and develop. I hope that helps. Next question, how do we start selling on Amazon? Background, we're a small jewelry business, would like to know the pros and cons for selling on Amazon and how best we can get started. Well, the good news on that is that Amazon makes it pretty easy. If you go to Seller Central, Amazon will kind of walk you through the process of creating that site. Once you create an account and you create a seller account, which they make very easy on Amazon, you immediately want to apply to brand registry to register your brand, which you provide them your trademark and copyright information, and then you own that brand on Amazon, which allows you to control your listings on Amazon, which doesn't mean that other people can't sell your product. They can, but what it does allow you to do is ensure that all of the sales of your product have to be transacted on your listing. So you create a listing, manage how that listing presents to the customer, and if somebody else acquires your product from you wholesale and wants to sell that product on Amazon, then they need to go and list it on your listing, and you can then see that they're selling it. The challenge, sometimes they'll change their name or they'll create another selling account, which makes it hard to see exactly who's selling it. So sometimes you have to track that if they're not selling it in accordance with your pricing guidelines, or they're selling an old product or something along those lines. We've had some silly things happen in the past with people that have sold certain things on Amazon under our brand that have or have not been authorized. And so you need to kind of get on and police that, because Amazon is a very open marketplace, and that's something they pride themselves on. So it's your job to kind of police that. But anyway, getting an account set up is easy. Then immediately applying for brand registry. And then they have additional services that you can do. Certainly advertising. You can get a dedicated advertising rep that will help you to advertise on Amazon in the same way that you do with paid search on Google AdWords or Bing or other paid search vehicles or Facebook. You can advertise there. You can also join their SaaS core team, which we belong to, which provides a dedicated Amazon rep that works with you to optimize your listings and everything that you're doing on Amazon more effectively, which is helpful. And they also have a Launchpad program that you can join if you're a new brand, like you said, on a small jewelry business and you want to join that Launchpad program. It's similar to the SaaS core team. You would do one or the other, not both, but that's for people that want to sell just on Amazon. And that could apply to the prior questioner as well. Josh, you may want to look at that Launchpad program. If you're only selling on Amazon, that Launchpad program is sort of tailor-made for folks like that just sell on Amazon and want to commit to the Amazon platform. They then provide some extra level of commitment to you as well, and you get certain access through the Launchpad areas of their site, which can be beneficial as well. So I hope that helps. That's for Bridget. And next question's from Stella. What do you think successful brands have in common? Background, I own a small sportswear brand in Croatia. That's fantastic. I love Croatia. Dubrovnik is such a beautiful place that I went on a cruise, loved it on my honeymoon, actually. You own a small sportswear brand in Croatia. General competition in the sports apparel industry is tough. Want to learn what you think I could apply to my strategy from other successful brands? Great question. I think one of the things that successful brands all have in common is a unique selling proposition. So you need to come up with a reason, an angle for why your product is different, better, right? There's obviously lots of stuff in the athleisure business. I wear Vuori, love it. A lot of people wear Lululemon, love it. There's Athleta on the female side. There are so many different sportswear brands, obviously Adidas, Nike, Under Armour, and the like. Important thing is to come up with why yours is different. Again, is it more bespoke? Does it have an athletic fit? Does it do something with the material side that's unique? And then really message that. The other thing that successful brands often have in common is they have some sort of a moat, right? They've got a barrier that kind of keeps their customers coming back, either with how they sell or what they sell or who they sell to, that is unique or different. You can think of the 4 P's in marketing: product, price, place, and promotion, right? Promotion is sort of how you promote. Maybe there's an angle. You use Facebook ads a certain way. You target a geography. You target a certain type of people. Your price obviously speaks for itself. As a small brand, you're never going to be the low-cost provider because other people have more scale than you do. So you're not going to compete on that level, but probably on quality. The product, what you try to sell, and then place is where you sell. Do you sell through distribution? Do you sell direct through Amazon? Do you sell direct through your website? Do you sell direct through physical retailers a certain way? Maybe you sell at concert venues. Liquid Death is one that's really famous, water, that's being super successful, their growth, and they really sold almost exclusively through concerts until they started to grow, and now they're trying to bridge into distribution, which is something that they need to kind of move into. But historically, it's been through concerts, so a very unique distribution angle. So anyway, you want to think about those 4 Ps, think about how you can be different in one or more of those 4 Ps, and how you can kind of build a little bit of a barrier around that. Gerry Morton wrote a book called Crossing the Chasm that applied primarily to technology companies, but he laid out the bowling pin strategy, where you kind of start with one small niche of a market and try to dominate that. So it may only be one little type of customer in one little area and one, specific subgroup. And when you become then the leader in that, it's easier to then roll from there into 2 other areas and into 3 other areas, kind of like bowling pins, sort of expand out. And you go from 1 to 3 to 5, and you kind of move that way. And the key to doing that is to start narrow enough to where it's an area that you can really kind of dominate, and then move out from there. Hope that helps. We've got another question from Stella. Love it. If it's not only paid ads and email marketing, what else do you think I could do so more people find out about my brand? Great question. This is the same sportswear brand that's been on the market for 18 months. I would say the piece that you're leaving out there that's probably critical is social. I think social is huge today. It's a very big deal, and it's an area where you can get credibility and social validation for your product that I think more and more people are increasingly relying on now, right? I mean, they like to know that their friends like something and then they buy it. So you can get influencers to promote it. You can get your friends to promote it. You can then build that network. I think AO has done a good job of promoting on social. You can use that as a model, look at what they've done successfully and try to model that. But social is a great place to go. In addition to online, you can also look offline, right? I mean, there is a lot of offline stuff out there that can be expensive. Print's expensive, and it's also harder to track, but it does open up an angle that might not be as saturated for your product or service as online might be. So definitely social, definitely offline. There's a media angle with television that you could potentially look at. Again, more expensive and harder to track, but could be something that your other competitors aren't using as much. You can look at kind of where you sell, like Amazon ads could be huge, Facebook ads could be huge. Obviously there's Google, there's Bing, there's advertising on all the different social platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and the like. TikTok is now something that's big and getting bigger every day. We haven't quite mastered the TikTok format, but a lot of people are. One of the challenges people find on TikTok is converting eyeballs into a monetization strategy. It's very easy to get eyeballs and get traction, but it's much harder to sort of figure out how to monetize that on TikTok relative to some other platforms. So people are still trying to kind of figure that out, but TikTok does have more eyeballs than just about any other platform right now. So you can definitely get eyeballs if you can figure out how to communicate your vision and your company in a video that's short, impactful, and potentially viral. And not too much about your company, but enough about your company to where it brings people back to the website or builds awareness or allows you to monetize it. So I hope that's helpful. Next question, also Stella, what tips can you share on making afternoon work more productive? This is certainly up my alley on the peak performance side. I think the first thing that comes to mind is not to eat a big lunch, right? A lot of people eat a big carb-heavy lunch and then they're tired and waste it for the afternoon. Obviously, don't do that. Keep yourself a little hungry. For me, I like to save my big meal for dinner. It works really well for me. I tend to go really lean, really just protein shakes with Greenergy and the Pro Energy protein during the day on a blender bottle. I just hit that all day long. The one meal I eat is, that's substantial is usually dinner. It seems to work really well for me. Again, it allows me to be super energetic throughout the afternoon because carbs and sugars at lunch will make you tired in the afternoon. Not only does it bring all the blood flow to your stomach to digest the food, but then it spikes your insulin levels, makes you hypoglycemic and kind of takes you into this rebound hypoglycemia that then makes you tired in the afternoon. So don't do that. Secondly, hydration, critical. People often say 70% of daytime fatigue is a result of dehydration. I've totally found that to be true. So what that means for you is if you stay super hydrated, 70% of your daytime fatigue will go away, and you'll be fatigued 30% as much as you would have otherwise if you weren't super hydrated. So hydration is big. It's something that most people don't even realize that they're chronically dehydrated, but they are. So drink more water, get the water, drink it throughout the day. Also drinking protein shakes, which again, do not dehydrate you. They hydrate you and they give you protein and energy throughout the day while hydrating you. It's kind of a magic combination. So again, the Pro Energy and the Greenergy, all at energyfirst.com. You can use the promo code Sean to take a discount and get free shipping on your order, SHAWN. So I love it. Next question. How do I communicate when talking to a new supplier in order to get a better deal? This is a great question. And I'm going to go to a broader negotiation principle that doesn't directly apply to this, but it's important to think about anyway. The number one way to improve your result in any negotiation is to improve your BATNA, which is your best alternative to a negotiating agreement. So if you're negotiating for something, the first thing that you want to work on is, if that negotiation doesn't go through, what's the next best thing that you would do? And then work on improving that alternative. And the stronger that alternative is, the better your result's going to be in that negotiation. What that really means is that it's difficult to bluff consistently in a negotiation. If you take a maximalist position in a negotiation where you don't have anything to fall back on, it is not going to work out for you well in the long run over multiple instances of time. You need to really build up your secondary alternative. Now, that's a broader negotiating principle. What you're talking about here is negotiating with a new supplier in order to get a better deal. Well, first you got to look at, what's your best alternative? Well, in this case, your best alternative is more other people that you could sell the product to at a given price. So with this scenario, you need to really just look at maintaining price integrity and say, look, I'm going to maintain a certain price. You're looking at it kind of from the other angle in this. You don't want the supplier that you're talking to feel like they can buy your product cheaper elsewhere, or that other people are buying your product cheaper. So I think what's important here is maintaining some level of price integrity where you can look at them and honestly say that this is a fair price for them, because they're not going to be able to go elsewhere. Other people aren't getting it for significantly cheaper elsewhere. And sometimes that's hard as a small business owner to potentially turn away business when you need every sale you can possibly get. But in the long run, that can be beneficial for you if you can honestly be authentic and fully in integrity with your pricing. Over the long run, it can help you to better build the brand, maintain quality, maintain value in your brand, so that people really feel like when they buy it, it's a good deal for them and for their customers, and it's not going to be undersold. It's the reason why when people start to sell through Costco or other discount outlets, that's usually the end of the maturing cycle for their brand, because at that point, you're not going to get a premium price anymore. As soon as you start going through those channels, it now compromises of a discount brand rather than a premium brand. So it just kind of changes the dynamic and what you're going to be able to sell for. So again, you see that more in maturing brands toward the mid to end of their lifestyle cycle, when from a marketing standpoint, you're looking more at the cash cow angle rather than a brand that's up and coming and growing. and developing. So anyway, I hope that helps. Number of thoughts on kind of negotiation. One of the things that you can do is read a book called Getting to Yes, which is a great negotiating book. Another book that I love is called Never Split the Difference. Another great book from an FBI hostage negotiator that is one of my favorite books on the topic, and one I think everybody should read. It's super enjoyable. Hope that helps. Love it. So thank you guys. It's really been a pleasure speaking with you guys, as it always is. It's just a pleasure. You guys have such a great group here in AO. It's a real resource. I encourage you guys to use each other as a resource, as peers, to use the mentors as a resource, since you have just an amazing group of people in here. I'm in a CEO group called YPO, which is fantastic and allows me to reach out to other peers that I can then share business, personal, family things with, and we can help each other to learn and grow and be better. You guys have that right here in AO, and I encourage you to really use it, because like with anything you do in life, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. So if you put more into this group, you are going to get more out of this group. So strongly encourage you to do that. Again, I'm Gerry Morton. It's been a super pleasure. Our website, energyfirst.com, all spelled out. You can use the promo code Shawn, SHAWN, if you'd like to take a discount and get free shipping on your order. And I look forward to connecting with you guys again very soon. Thank you very much, and make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.